Hey everyone, I'm Carson. Welcome to Wandering Dillos. Today we're going to take a look at how to replace the handle on a Splendide washer-dryer combo. Should be fun. Alright, our subject today is going to be the Splendide 2000s washer-dryer combo. It's a great unit made specifically for RVs. Does the washing and drying all in one machine. Doesn't take up much space. Our biggest challenge is going to be the fact that it's made in Italy. So this is going to make it a little tricky to track down some of the parts. So here's the problem, is this handle used to go right here. And this is how you would open and close the door. And it's just a small plastic piece that's broken, which unfortunately has rendered the unit pretty much inoperable. So this is what we're going to be working on replacing, are these bits right here. Alright, so this is the replacement kit. We had difficulty tracking this down online. Finally, we're able, through a local parts distributor, able to get the replacement kit. Now that I know what I'm looking at, probably could find it online. I'll give you some tips about that here at the end of the video. But the kit's pretty simple. It's got some instructions, which, given the circumstances, I may actually read those. This is the piece that we're actually interested in. So this is the replacement handle. The only thing I'm concerned about, as you can see, is a little different shape. Slightly different design, but it looks like the important bits are all the same, so I'm not too worried about that. It also comes with some replacement parts, the latch, the spring, the little spindle, that all that goes on. I don't anticipate needing those. I think they include those so they can justify the $90 price for the repair kit. Step 1, remove the 2 Torx screws from the door, and then lift the door from the hinge. So it is a Torx, looks like a T15. It's the appropriate size. I like to just loosen the bottom one. Alright, so far so good. Only trick here is they change it up on us. And we're back to a traditional Phillips head screw. Not a big deal. Okay, now we're going to try to separate the 2 halves. Glass bowl, ring. All right, and nothing can ever be easy category. Once we've removed the mechanism, seeing that there is some additional damage here to the door. We've got some cracks here, a stress crack here. So I'm going to pause for a minute, figure out how this goes back together, and then do some additional repairs using some epoxy to kind of reinforce these stressed areas so that we don't have to come back in a week and try to track down a brand new door ring to fix this thing again. Alright, my apologies, didn't hit the record button when I took apart the mechanism. Hopefully it'll be a little easier to see as we put it back together. So spring comes first. It kind of sits under here. Like that. That's kind of a tricky bit. Hold it in place. Put the handle in. That should kind of hold it in place. And then the latch mechanism. Latch mechanism is just going to be important to make sure that the hook port is toward the outside of the door. And then the fun part is you've just got this pin which goes through all of those pieces. So it goes through the door, it goes through the spring, it goes through the latch, so through there, the spring again. And up into the door. All right. Okay, so there was a little bit of off-camera drama. Assembling this thing is a little tricky, especially with the spring involved. Some key things as you go about it: make sure that the locking mechanisms point in the right direction so that the notch is toward the outside of the ring. And then as you assemble it, also make sure that the spring is on the back side of that locking mechanism, because that's what's going to make it latch and stay latched and not come open on you. As mentioned earlier, I do have some stress cracks here, some other damage that off camera I'm going to go ahead and repair. I'm going to build this up with some epoxy just to reinforce it so that those cracks don't continue to grow and end up having to repeat this procedure in the future. All right, we made some of those additional repairs we've mentioned. You can see here we've reinforced this area with that epoxy, and I don't know if you can see it, we've used a little bit of super glue to also kind of close up a couple other stress cracks, some gaps. So hopefully this will prevent any further problems. For the epoxy, I use the water weld. I like it because it's waterproof, easy to work with, sets up pretty quickly. It is really sticky, so if you do get this on you, one pro tip would be soap and water doesn't really do much, but if you use hand sanitizer, a generous amount of hand sanitizer, that'll take most of that off your hands pretty quickly. For the super glue, brand doesn't really matter. I'm using Gorilla Super Glue. The important part is to use a gel type product, because what you don't want to have happen is put a lot of glue in here and have it run down and glue the pin in place, because if that happens, it's going to be almost impossible to get this thing back apart in the future if you do need to service it. So definitely recommend a gel type product in that application. So now really it's a matter of bolting it back together and installing it back in the washing machine. So time for reassembly of the door. As with most things, there's one right way to put it together and literally a gazillion other ways to not put it right together. It is important, the orientation of the glass window is important, because you can see it's got a unique shape to it. Fortunately, one side of it is flat, and when you look at the ring, it also has a corresponding flat spot. So that does help you get it back together so that the window's in the right alignment with the door. Then we're going to take the outside piece, the locking ring, get it lined up, and hopefully everything should snap back together. There we go. And then we'll be able to go in and tighten up all of the screws we undid earlier. There's the locking mechanism. So that's the important part. It appears to be doing what it needs to be doing, so we should be in good shape there. But for now, we're just going to button up the door, and we'll be ready to install it. All right, always exciting when you have the proper number of screws with no extras left over. It shuts, that's a good thing, and opens, also a fantastic thing. So there you go. We've successfully replaced the handle on our Splendide 2000s washer dryer combo. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video and it'll be useful to you if you need to do a project like this in the future. I'll put the part numbers and the location where we got our parts in the comments below. Thanks for watching Wandering Dillos, and we'll see you on the road.